All right, President Trump also saying he did not believe Kim Jong-un knew about the tragic case of Otto Warmbier, the American college student who died shortly after being released from a jail in North Korea. Listen here.
In those prisons and those camps, you have a lot of people, and some really bad things happen to Otto. Some really, really bad things.
Why are you?
But he tells me that he didn't know about it, and I will take him at his word.
Let's bring in Colorado Senator Cory Gardner. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. And maybe just your overall thoughts first, Senator, about this meeting ending the way that it did.
Well, I think you've got a president who's trying to move beyond what I call press release diplomacy, is actually trying to have a conversation with North Korea. Now, you can agree or disagree with that strategy. But what we know is this, that Kim Jong-un hasn't changed his family's position for decades, which is to delay, to stall, and keep the status quo. Promising to take apart a reactor that's already been promised in the past to be taken apart, that is already supposed to have been done under international law and certainly U.S. law, is giving the sleeves out of a vest. And so I think Kim Jong-un remains a two-bit dictator, and until he changes his mind, we ought to apply every single bit of maximum pressure on North Korea and its enablers that we can to shut them off economically and from the world until they decide they're going to dismantle and live up to their obligations of denuclearization.
Would you suggest increasing sanctions then, or what other sort of pressure?
Oh, heck yes. I think we ought to apply every amount of pressure that we can. Look, we know that the Chinese have provided relief to pressures. We know that they have allowed ship-to-ship transfers of oil to take place, some in Chinese territorial waters. We know the Russians continue to. We know that other countries do. So we ought to apply maximum pressure, live up to our law, and make sure that we are squeezing every bit we can to force them to the table and to live up to the promise that Kim Jong-un made at Singapore, which is complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization.
Nikki Haley tweeted about this Otto Warmbier question. She said that Americans know the cruelty that was placed on Otto Warmbier by the North Korean regime. Our hearts are with the Warmbier family for their strength and courage. We will never forget Otto. That is certainly true. And I wonder, you know, when you hear that the president says Kim Jong-un says he didn't know and then he'll take him at his word, I mean, do you take Kim Jong-un at his word?
Look, I think I've talked to Fred and Cindy Warmbier, the tragedy that they went through. Look, Otto Warmbier they made a spectacle out of him to the world, accusing him of being a traitor, a spy, and they executed him. The blood of Otto Warmbier is on the hands of Kim Jong-un. There's no doubt in my mind that he knew about it, he allowed it to happen, and the responsibility lies directly with Kim Jong-un.
Let me ask you a story about that's closer to home and closer to, of course, I'm from Colorado. That's where you're from. Yeah. So the state legislature just passed a law that says they want to tie Colorado's Electoral College votes to whatever the national vote total is, the national popular vote. This is joining 11 other states and Washington, D.C., as you can see here on this map. And Colorado, the new governor, Jared Polis, is expected to sign this measure. And I am, frankly, a little shocked that a small state like Colorado would do this. And I'd like your thoughts on it.
Well, this just says that the person that Colorado votes for may not get Colorado votes. We'll go follow New York or California or Texas or Florida. The design of the Electoral College was to give smaller states a voice. But what they have done with this legislation is say, you know what, we don't care if Colorado has a voice because the presidential candidate may not win Colorado or they may win Colorado, and we'll give those votes to somebody else. This is outrageous what they're doing to silence the votes in a state like Colorado. This is giving away our electoral process and our votes, and I think it's unacceptable.
What have you heard from constituents in Colorado about it?
Disbelief. You know, there's a lot of people who don't know about this, actually. They've kind of done it quickly at the very beginning of the legislative session. There's a lot of people who are going to be, I think, surprised when the candidate that wins Colorado doesn't get Colorado votes. That's going to be a real shock to a lot of people.
It's remarkable. I'm following it here on the Daily Briefing and Fox News as well. Thank you, Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado.